To Global News on Signature TV, I am Barry Kumo Ado. In the headlines, All Progressives Congress deepens presence in the Southeast. Nigerian government says malnutrition threatens country's economic growth. Cameroon's ruling party marches in Bua ahead of opposition protest. And Malaysia and South Africa vow to strengthen bilateral cooperation. Details shortly.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Some political leaders in the Southeast zone have declared their resolve to ensure the re-election of President Bola Tinubu in 2027. The declaration was made in Enugu during the official inauguration of the Southeast Movement for Tinubu 2027, which brought together APC stakeholders, political leaders, and supporters across the region. Signature TV's Chinemere Kegbunam was there and now reports.
The Southeast Movement for Tinubu 2027 is a social-political interest and a pressure group dedicated to mobilizing support for the re-election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The group operates through 4 key components, including the Elders Council, the Women's Wing, Students Wing, and Youth Wing, each designed to drive grassroots engagements across the region. The chairman of the occasion, Chinyaka Oha, represented by Henry Okenwa, commended the organizers for what he described as a well-coordinated initiative. He said Enugu is witnessing a significant political realignment, crediting the state governor Peter Mbah for steering the state towards the ruling All Progressive Congress. Okenwa assured that the Southeast is ready to align politically and deliver its votes to APC in 2027.
Mr. Peter Mbah, our governor, he moved to APC and everything began to take shape in Enugu State. And that is why we are here today, and you can witness this number of people. APC doesn't used to gather this kind of crowd before, but our governor has set the pace. He has given us a platform for us to do everything.
Acting National Chairman of the movement, Professor Emeritus Damian Opata, praised President Tinubu's economic policies, including fuel subsidy removal and efforts to strengthen the Naira. He emphasized the need for the movement to remain focused and strategic as preparations for the election gather momentum.
Little policies have been generally accepted by Nigerians. Even all the presidential candidates noted that. The complaint, however, is that there was nothing put in place to anchor the resultant pains occasioned by these policies. But now it is obvious to every person that the gains have started to show.
Representing the Enugu State Governor, the Special Advisor on Political Matters, Frank Anioma, reaffirmed the state's commitment to the APC, expressing confidence that Enugu has what it takes to deliver resounding support for the president in the forthcoming election. He highlighted key achievements of the administration, noting that the governor's developmental strides reflect the renewed hope agenda.
Of aligning the Southeast and our need to the center have already started manifesting. Because after the meeting of the National Economic Council yesterday, His Excellency Barrister Peter Mbah was appointed the chairman of a committee that will revitalize all the police colleges in Nigeria.
The Director General of Tinubu Support Group, Dr. Uma Tanko Yakasai, officially inaugurated the Southeast Movement for Tinubu 2027. He described the group's formation as a testament to the president's growing influence in the region, commending the large turnout as a proof of genuine grassroots support.
He said Nigeria is having 3.something% of GDP. When Aswaju came, it was lower, 2.something%. But between 2023, 2024, 2025, the gross GDP of Nigeria has grown to over 4%.
Stakeholders in attendance pledged their total loyalty to the movement, applauding both the president and the Enugu state governor for their visionary leadership.
The leaders are not the people doing what we are doing now. The leaders foresaw what we are doing now, and they started working for it. It's the man who tells you what's going to happen in the next 20 years. He's the leader.
We want to assure the president of Nigeria, our dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that women are rich, that we are going to deliver come 2027.
State coordinators took turns to outline their objectives, emphasizing unity, inclusion, and a coordinated drive towards the 2027 goal.
You can see this is genuine supporters. This is not a group of women dancers that some people will collect to come and sit down. These people are organic supporters.
The event climaxed with official inauguration and swearing in of officials of the Southeast Movement for Tinubu 2027, marking a new phase of political mobilization within the region. In Enugu, Chinemere Mikibunam, Signature TV News.
Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State has inaugurated the Accreditation and Special Duties Subcommittees of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) ahead of its 2025 elective national convention. Inauguration of Accreditation Subcommittee took place on Friday at the PDP Legacy House in Maitama, Abuja. The committee is responsible for producing the delegates' lists, booklets, and tags for participants and observers, as well as accrediting and ensuring the welfare of delegates. Lawal noted that both subcommittees form part of a national convention organizing committee working towards a smooth and credible exercise. Convention is scheduled to hold on November 15 and 16 in Ibadan, Oyo State. The 2023 presidential candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, Professor Peter Umeadi, has announced his resignation from the party and his withdrawal from partisan politics. In a letter personally signed and dated October 24, 2025, addressed to the chairman of APGA Ward 1 INRI in Anocha local government area of Anambra State, Umeadi expressed deep appreciation to the party that gave him a national platform in the last general election. 70-year-old who ran on the Umeadi Mohammed 2023 ticket made history as the first jurist and academic of law to contest for Nigeria's presidency under a major political party. He joined APGA on March 20, 2019 at INRI Ward 1 and secured the party's presidential ticket in June 2022. Umeadi, who is a former chief judge of Anambra State from 2011 to 2019, noted a few months before the poll in December 2022 that the solution to political problems in Nigeria is to allow a president of Nigeria to come from the southeast and from APGA. The Independent National Electoral Commission says it has introduced an artificial intelligence-powered virtual assistant to enhance staff training and operational readiness ahead of Anambra governorship election scheduled for November 8. Statement by the Commission via X said a new digital tool known as INEC Training Virtual Assistant or INEC Training Bot was unveiled on Friday. INEC Training Bot provides 24-hour access to election materials, interactive lessons and on-demand learning modules and allows electoral officers to learn flexibly from any location and at their own pace. INEC had also announced that the distribution of permanent voter cards for voters who participated in the recent continuous voter registration in Anambra State, which commenced on October 22, will end on October 26. Earlier today, an Enugu-based legal practitioner, Uche Maduemesi, joined us through the phone to speak on the Anambra gubernatorial election, which is exactly 2 weeks away, and what is expected from a new INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amopita.
Yes, firstly, concerning the appointment of Joash Amopita as the new INEC chairman, firstly, he has to make Nigerians have confidence in his administration. You know, he has a baggage of being a member of the legal team that defended President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. So there are some people, when you call them, say, that's Tinubu's man. Well, what is the guarantee that he's going to do the needful? So he needs to do what is right. And being a lawyer, because we have always believed that the problem in this country, not about elections, people coming to cast their votes, but allowing the votes to count. If you win me and it's fair and square, I will not grumble. But a situation where I will cast my vote, then by the time the results are being announced, you notice that my vote or whatever we didn't count. So that's exactly what we need. So he needs to now let us have that confidence. Being a lawyer, let him know what is right. Let him do what is right. The rule of law is very, very important here. If people cast our votes, let it be so. Then even this issue of transmission, electoral transmission of results, because that is the main thing every Nigerian is clamoring for. If we cast our votes, then the results will be transmitted online from the polling booths to wherever is the collection center, and the thing will be uploaded. We wouldn't want a situation where later we start hearing about glitches here and there. We don't need that. So he needs to up his game. He needs to do what is right. And Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President Tinubu, while he was inaugurating or swearing him in, he made a declaration that he should try and make elections to be what is supposed to be, credible. I believe he meant what he said, because in trying to make elections credible, I hope it is not maybe credible to be that he won. They should allow us to vote. If we vote, let our votes count. If he wins, so be it. If he didn't, then he should be proud enough, or even he should be proud enough to now say, look, I know I didn't win. Let the winner go. We know what happened in 2023. He didn't win. We know. But we are now taking it the way it is. Nobody, no Nigerian will want a repeat of whatever happened in 2023. That's exactly my position. So now with Anambra State governorship election coming in less than 2 weeks, INEC should allow people to vote. Let them declare the results as people voted. Not a situation where 10 votes, you start hearing about 30, inflated figures at the end of the day. Let allow people, when they vote, let the results be counted and announced as in line with what the people voted. That's exactly what we want. We don't care about who wins or who is this. But again, if we can't rule, we can't govern, but we should be in a position to we should be in a position to decide who rules us. That's exactly what we are saying. We wouldn't want a situation where we now, after casting all the votes, a party from somewhere will now the results, certain figures will be ascribed to parties. You will see even a party that did not even field any candidate, you will see certain figures ascribed to that party. It's ridiculous. We don't have to be taking that in this country. We don't have to be taking that in this country. So the new INEC chairman should know what is right. Being a lawyer, please let him do what is right according to the law. Nigerians will suffer a lot. We suffer. The problem we have in this country is declaration of election results, where what most times the results declared are at variance with what people voted in the polling units. So that's my take on that. So I believe Anambra State, the result, Anambra State election coming up in 2 weeks, that INEC will do what is right, allow people to cast their votes, and deliver the results according to what people cast, and not situation where there will be allegation of certain results were written somewhere else and now submitted.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police in Anambra State, Ikioye Orutugu, has assured that the command will ensure the safety and security of lives during the November 8 governorship election in the state. Orutugu made the commitment when he visited Agwata and Otocha area commands to interface with security stakeholders and officers and men of the command serving in the areas as part of ongoing security engagement ahead of the polls. The commissioner during the interactive session stated that the Nigeria Police Force remained a strictly neutral and non-partisan institution and not interested in who wins or loses the election. He charged area commanders, divisional police officers, tactical commanders and operational teams to demonstrate professionalism, discipline, courtesy and firmness, especially as political activities intensify. The dialogue focused on strengthening local intelligence sharing, discouraging voter intimidation, countering electoral violence and promoting peaceful civic participation. The Niger State Police Command has arrested several suspects in separate raids across the state as part of its effort to tackle thuggery, robbery and other crimes. In a statement issued on Saturday, the command's public relations officer Wasiu Abiodun said arrests were made in coordinated operations in Kontagora, Mina and Bida between October 21 and 23, 2025. Abiodun disclosed that a large quantity of suspected cannabis, 2 knives and a pair of military trousers were recovered from the suspects and that investigation is ongoing to determine the source of illicit substances and whether the suspects belong to any wider criminal group. In another operation, Abiodun said 2 robbery suspects, Aliyu Saliu and Jibrim Ndako, both of Bakin Saleh Mina, were arrested at Tugan Shanu area of Maje while attempting to flee from Bida after robbery. He noted that the case had been transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department, Mina, for further investigation. 6 members of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, have sued the Anambra State government, demanding 1 billion naira in damages over the alleged assault and unlawful detention by operatives of a state vigilante group, Agune Chamber. The Corps members, Jennifer Eloho, Greatness Oye, Ikenna Eze, God's Power Anigoro, Feishara Amore, and Chimenom Monodi, filed the suit before the Federal High Court in Oka. It is filed through the counsel, Cyrus Onu. The plaintiffs listed Anambra State government, Governor Chukwuma Soludo, the State Attorney General, and the Vigilante Group as the first, second, third, and fourth respondents. Plaintiffs are asking the court to declare the arrest, detention, torture, and abuse as illegal, unlawful, unwarranted, unconstitutional, and an infringement of their fundamental rights. Additionally, they are seeking an order compelling the respondents to issue a written public apology to be published in at least 2 national newspapers and 1 local newspaper in Anambra State. But a viral video in August showed operatives of a vigilante group assaulting the Corps members after storming their lodge. One of them, Jennifer Eloho, was reportedly beaten and stripped naked by the gun-wielding men, who then allegedly accused the Corps members of being internet fraudsters and attacked them despite the attempts to identify themselves with their NYSC identity cards. The Nigeria Police Force has explained reasons behind the transfer of human rights activist and former presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore to Kuje prison shortly after it was granted bail by the Kuje Magistrate Court in Abuja on Friday. Responding to Sowore's rearrest via X, the Force Public Relations Officer Benjamin Udein said the police acted within the law, adding that the officers were empowered to use commensurate force to carry out their duties. Sowore's arrest followed the organization of the Free Nnamdi Kanu Now protest on Monday and subsequently arraignment alongside 12 others before the Kuje Magistrate Court on Friday, were pleaded not guilty to the charges. The court granted bail to Sowore with 500,000 naira and 2 sureties, which its legal team was working to perfect at the time of a police action. Assistant Commander General of National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, and the Enugu State Commander of the agency, Sunu Wadahi, has raised alarm over the rising rate of drug abuse in the state. Wadahi was speaking on Signature Morning, revealed that over 400,000 youths in Enugu are involved in drug abuse, despite several awareness campaigns. He expressed concern over the increasing number of women involved in drug consumption and trafficking.
So it's probably another thing. Do you know that out of every 4 people that abuse drugs in Nigeria, 1 is a woman? 4 people, 1 is a woman. Out of 5 people that abuse drugs in Nigeria, 1 uses syringe to inject, and another one is another dangerous one. If I inject myself, give you the syringe to inject yourself, I don't know the disease that you have. There's tendency that you may even contact my kind of disease. And out of 7 Nigerians, 1 abuse drugs. That is, I said, I'm not the one that created it. That is what the United Nations said.
The commander said the NDLEA in Enugu State as one of the best rehabilitation centers in the country, providing medical care and follow-ups before reintegrating former addicts into the society.
In our office here, we have it's one of the best rehabilitation centers in the country when it comes to NDLEA as any other person. As I'm talking to you now, there are 25 young men there undergoing rehabilitation because people that have suffered from the drug has affected them. We will now come and repair them. By repairing means that we keep them there for 1-2 months at most. By the time these drugs get out of their system, they come back to their senses. We have a psychiatrist that's working with us. We have a medical doctor that's working with us. We have a psychologist that's working with us. We have a clinic there. We have nurses, all this kind of other stuff. As I'm talking to you, there are 19 people on the queue. Because the facility is small. The governor just promised us that he's going to expand it to about that can accommodate about 50. If that one is happening, at least something for us.
Called for stiffer penalties for drug offenders to discourage them from illicit activities while urging citizens to report any suspicious drug-related activities to the NDLEA. Up ahead, Gombe Commissioner, police orderly die in road crash. World 75th richest man, Dangote's net worth climbs to $30.2 billion. Details of these and more after the break.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
The Gombe State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, retired Colonel Abdullahi Bello, has died in a fatal road accident. The incident occurred on Friday along the Malam City Gombe Road, while the commissioner was returning from Maiduguri, Borno State, where he attended a Northeast Regional Consultation on the development of a national disarmament, demobilization and reintegration framework. A statement issued by the Director General, Press Affairs at Government House, Ismaila Misili, confirmed that Bello died alongside his police orderly, Adamu Usaini. Governor Muhammadu Yahya described the late commissioner as a disciplined officer and dedicated public servant who brought his wealth of military experience, leadership and patriotism into the service of Gombe State. The governor extended his condolences to the family of the deceased, his associates and the people of Balanga local government area, praying that the Almighty God will forgive his shortcomings and grant him eternal rest. He also prayed for the speedy recovery of the commissioner's driver who sustained injuries in a crash and is currently receiving treatment. The presidency is insisting that the sacking and replacement of service chiefs in the country has nothing to do with a rumored coup d'etat. A special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said a shake-up was a move to inject new direction into the armed forces. Onanuga said President Bola Tinubu merely acted within its authority to make leadership changes in the military. According to him, service chiefs can be hired and fired by the president as the commander-in-chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces. The North Central Development Commission has warned the public against falling victim to fake recruitment schemes being circulated online and through other channels. A statement signed by its Executive Director of Corporate Services, James Uloko. The Commission said it has not begun any recruitment exercise, but urging Nigerians to disregard the fake recruitment messages and remain alert to fraudsters attempting to exploit job seekers. He added that recruitment will only begin after some processes are completed and the Commission's budget receives final approval from the National Assembly. Uloko noted that since its establishment and inauguration of its board, the NCDC has been focused on developing its organizational structure and assessing its human and material resource needs. He assured that when the Commission is ready to employ, the process will be open, transparent, and in line with due process involving all relevant stakeholders. The federal government has described malnutrition as a national problem that undermines the country's manpower development and poses a serious threat to Nigeria's overall economic growth. Mrs. Rochas Amoka, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Health, disclosed this during a courtesy visit to Jigawa State Governor Umar Namadi at the inauguration of a State Council on the Nutrition 774. She explained her Nutrition 774 initiative, which forms part of a renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu, was conceived by the Vice President as a flagship initiative of the National Council on Nutrition in response to the devastating impact of malnutrition and its associated consequences on the Nigerian population. Ms. Rocha Sanokwa further stated that malnutrition is not merely a health issue, but a national economic concern that requires stronger action to minimize the problem. Governor Namadi expressed appreciation to the Office of the Vice President for the initiative and reaffirmed Jigawa's leading role in nutrition advocacy and implementation. Said that 250 million naira has been set aside by the state government annually for the procurement of ready-to-use therapeutic food in collaboration with UNICEF, where members of the Jigawa State House of Assembly contribute 300 million naira yearly to support community-level nutrition interventions. A former mayor of Blanco, Texas, Mike Arnold, has challenged the Sultan of Sokoto and chairman of the Northern Traditional Rulers Council, Saad Abubakar III, over his recent comments dismissing claims of genocide against Christians in northern Nigeria. Arnold was also the founder of Africa Arise International, a group advocating against the persecution of Christians in sub-Saharan Africa, issued a challenge in a post on his X handle on Friday. He was reacting to the Sultan's remarks at the General Assembly of the Northern Traditional Rulers Council in Birnin Kebbi, where the monarch said reports of Christian genocide were false and intended to sow division. Arnold accused the Sultan of turning a blind eye to attacks on Christians and demanded that he publicly clear his name over the allegations. In his post, the ex-mayor alleged that a religious leader had links to extremist groups and bore responsibility for the ongoing persecution of Christians in Nigeria. The Sultan had maintained that Christians and Muslims have coexisted peacefully in the north for generations. and described the allegations as misleading. 3 persons were hit and killed by a Dangote truck in Benue State on Friday. The tragedy, which occurred at Luga, a suburb along the Boko-Aliede Road, claimed the lives of 2 biological brothers and a lady, all of whom were riding on a motorcycle. Eyewitness accounts said 2 Dangote trucks were driving at top speed side by side on a narrow road when other trucks, unable to avoid a motorbike for lack of space, hit it from behind, killing all 3 occupants on the spot. All 3 were evacuated to the mortuary at Agidi, another suburb nearby, while the 2 Dangote trucks were taken to the police station in Boko. When contacted, the chairman of the Boko branch of Dan Trans, a transit wing of Dangote Industries Limited, Adamu Alfa, confirmed the accident and described it as sad. Alfa said that Dangote Group now hold a weekly sensitization orientation sessions for the drivers in their employ on safety measures and conduct while on the road. The net worth of Aliko Dangote, Africa's richest man and president of Dangote Group, has climbed to $30.2 billion, according to a report by Bloomberg Billionaires Index. Dangote has a majority share in the Dangote Cement PLC, which is the largest cement producer in sub-Saharan Africa, listed in the Nigerian exchange, and also owns Dangote Refinery, Africa's biggest oil refining firm. Dangote Oil Refinery, which was commissioned May 22, 2023, is valued at $20 billion and remains its most valuable asset. Dangote owns a 92.3% stake in the refinery, but the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, owns 7.3%. The Naira recorded its 5th straight appreciation against the United States dollars at the official foreign exchange market, ending the week on a positive note. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria showed that the Naira strengthened on Friday to 1,457.96 Naira against the dollar, up from 1,460.49 Naira traded on Thursday. But the Naira gained 2 Naira 53 against the dollar on a day-to-day basis. In the black market, the Naira remained flat at 1,500 Naira per dollar from Monday. This comes as the country's internal reserves sustain their upward trend, rising to $42.87 billion as of October 22, 2025. The Financial Action Task Force, FATF, has delisted Nigeria from its grey list of countries with deficiencies in anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing frameworks. FATF made its disclosure at the end of a plenary meeting on Friday, said the decision followed Nigeria's successful and timely completion of its FATF action plan, marking over 2 years of sustained effort, reform, and interagency coordination. President Bola Tinubu described the development as a major milestone in Nigeria's journey towards economic reform, institutional integrity, and global credibility. South Africa, Mozambique, and Burkina Faso were among the 4 African countries removed from the list. The Financial Action Task Force is the world's foremost standard-setting body for combating money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing. Next is business news.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says it has recovered over 566 billion naira, $411 million, and more than 1,500 assets within the last 2 years. EFCC Chairman Ola Olukoyede disclosed this while reviewing the Commission's performance between October 2023 and September 2025. He explained that the EFCC received more than 19,000 petitions, investigated over 29,000 cases, and secured more than 7,500 convictions during this period. Olukoyede noted that part of the recovered funds have been channeled into national development initiatives such as the Students' Loan Scheme and Consumer Credit Program. He added that the agency is intensifying collaborations with global bodies including Interpol and the FBI to trace repatriate stolen assets. The EFCC boss reaffirmed the Commission's commitment to strengthening accountancy, transparency, and public trust in Nigeria's anti-corruption drive. The Budget Office of the Federation has revealed that the country's fiscal deficit widened to 13.51 trillion naira in 2024, equivalent to 3.62% of GDP, surpassing the Fiscal Responsibility Act's ceiling of 3%. The office explained that the increased shortfall resulted from the higher debt service payments and reduced revenue performance. Financing for the deficit included 6.06 trillion naira in domestic borrowing, 3.37 trillion naira in foreign loans, and about 1.98 trillion naira from multilateral and bilateral sources. An additional 3.19 trillion naira was sourced as budget support. Notably, in the final quarter of the year, the deficit reached 7.17 trillion naira, more than twice the amount initially projected for that period. The Budget Office emphasized the need for stronger revenue reforms and fiscal discipline to stabilize Nigeria's public finances and maintain investor confidence amid rising expenditure pressures. The Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development has introduced uniform selling prices for homes under the renewed Hope Housing Program. According to the minister, Ak Ahmed Dangiwa, one-bedroom semi-detached bungalows will sell for 8.5 million naira, two-bedroom units for 11.5 million naira, and three-bedroom units for 12.5 million naira. The minister explained that the move is aimed at ensuring affordability, transparency, and equity for prospective homeowners across all states. Priority will be given to low and middle income earners, civil servants, and Nigerians in the diaspora. Payment options include outright purchase, mortgage, rent-to-own, and installment plans through the Federal Mortgage Bank and private partners. Dangiwa added that the uniform pricing structure will help reduce disparities in housing costs nationwide and bridge Nigeria's housing deficit, currently estimated at about 50 million units. At the end of the last trading day of the week, Friday, October 24th, on the Nigerian exchange, investors traded a total of 1.21 billion shares in 29,960 deals valued at over 31.48 billion naira. The data represents a 31% increase in volume, 17% rise in turnover, but a 2% decline in the number of deals compared to the previous trading session. The market capitalization currently stands at 98.8 trillion naira, reflecting sustained investor confidence and increased market participation. A total of 130 listed equities participated in trading, ending the session with 34 gainers and 25 losers. ASO Savings and Loans led the gainers with a 10% share price increase to close at 0 naira 66 kobo per share, followed by Ikeja Hotel, which rose by 7.89% to close at 20 naira 50 kobo per share, Regency Alliance Insurance at 7.44%, closing at 1 naira 30 kobo per share, and Caverton Offshore Support Group, which gained 7.08% to close at 6 naira 50 kobo per share. On the losers chart, Union Deconsult shared 9.09% to close at 8 naira per share, followed by Neymath International Pharma losing 6.67% to close at 5 naira 60 kobo per share. The NGX All-Share Index appreciated by 1,155.13 points to close at 155,645.03 points at the end of the trading. This performance marks a weekly gain of 4.48%, a 4-week gain of 10.27%, and a year-to-date growth of 51.22%. The steady index growth shows the resilience of the Nigerian equities market and investors' sustained confidence in blue-chip stocks. At the close of trading on Friday, October 24th, the Nigerian Naira exchanged at 1,465 Naira 29 kobo to the US dollar at the official market, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria. This represents a slight depreciation compared to the previous session. Meanwhile, in the parallel market, the Naira traded between 1,495 Naira and 1,500 Naira per dollar, reflecting ongoing pressure on foreign exchange liquidity. Analysts say the divergence between the official and street rates shows persistent dollar demand from importers and limited supply inflows. That's the update from the Nigerian stock and money market. In Abuja, I am Thompson Natus.
U.S. urges global race for next UN chief in move likely to annoy Latin America. Magnus turns to pole at Malaysian MotoGP. Details in a moment.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Dozens of supporters of Cameroon's ruling party marched through the southwestern city of Bouer on Friday, calling for calm and denouncing electoral violence days before opposition leader Issa Chiroma's planned protest and official announcement of presidential results. Protesters waved banners reading "No to hate speech" and "Yes to peace," urging citizens to reject calls for unrest. A demonstration organized by members of President Paul Biya's Cameroon People's Democratic Movement came as tension builds over Sunday's expected opposition rally. Chiroma, who claims victory in the October 12 vote, has urged supporters to stage a peaceful protest on October 26 to defend their mandate. Authorities have not confirmed whether the gathering will be authorized. Ruling party lawmakers said Friday's march was meant to promote unity and discourage what they called unbecoming behavior after elections. But some residents in Bouer questioned the authorities' even-handedness, saying other political groups would not have been allowed to hold a similar event. Constitutional Council earlier this week dismissed all challenges to the vote, clearing the way for Biya 92 to extend its 4-decade rule. Final results are expected to be announced on Monday.
We've chosen this time intentionally, and it's also essential. You know, in every democracy like our own, the period after elections is critical for national unity. An election is a competition, and as we wait for the results, there are calls from some other quarters for some other kind of conduct which is unbecoming and uncivic, to put it that way. And it is the reason why we felt we have a role as representative, as line ministry in charge of youth affairs and civic education, and as youth leaders to bring together other youth leaders, our peers in Bouer, for us to remind ourselves of the importance of being responsible in our attitude.
The bias is very clear, because if it was another political party that was organizing this protest, they would have stopped it. They would have intimidated the people. They would have brought weapons. They would have brought arms for the youth not to go out and for their voices to be heard. It wouldn't have been a peaceful protest. It would have been raw, because when you want to do a peaceful protest and then you see people having weapons, guns, that is intimidation, just as what we saw in Douala. You go everywhere, youth are talking. So, because what do the youth want? They need change. So that is why, with the political tension that we have for 43 years that our president have been in power, the youth are asking and demanding for change. We need a new face. We need a new leadership. The president may not be a bad person, but the regime in question is a bad and horrific regime, which doesn't want people to talk. It takes about our fundamental human rights of speech. The freedom of speech is not allowed.
Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim met with South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa on Saturday on the sidelines of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations summit in Kuala Lumpur, where they agreed to strengthen bilateral cooperation across various sectors. At a briefing, Anwar also lauded Ramaphosa for being a new voice of conscience when it came to Gaza.
President Cyril Ramaphosa, to us, represent also a new voice, a voice of conscience, this tenacity and conviction, defending justice, human rights across the continent in Africa, and also up to Gaza. They are a very prominent player in the Hague Initiative, in the ICC, and of course on behalf of Malaysia generally, I must also express my profound gratitude for this courage to defend what is right.
Our support for Palestine was not just a fanciful act. It is born out of our own experience during our consultation or meet bilateral. You did mention that the concept of apartheid is also what we see being practiced in that part of the world. And it is this that has motivated South Africa to raise our complaint to the International Court of Justice, a move that you have supported us in, much as it has been risky and fraught with a lot of opposition. But we thank you for acknowledging that it was a courageous move on our part, and we will continue to seek justice for the people of Palestine, like the world sought to see justice for us as South Africans when they also went to the United Nations to declare apartheid a crime against humanity.
Leaders of a 10-member ASEAN and their dialogue partners, including US President Donald Trump, will meet in the Malaysian capital Kuala Lumpur from October 26 to 28 and expected to tackle issues ranging from trade to global conflicts. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum says trade talks with Washington were going well, declining to comment about US President Donald Trump's announcement that the US was ending trade talks with Canada over an anti-tariff advertisement issued by Ontario's provincial government.
Let's wait to see. Yesterday, I believe there were 3 posts made on his social media, so we'll wait to see how the relationship with Canada develops. In Mexico's case, we are quite far along. The Secretary of Economy is going to APEC next week, where he'll still have meetings with President Trump's administration to finalize some agreements that are still pending. But we're doing very well in terms of progress on the reviews they proposed regarding some points they consider to be barriers to the trade agreement. Many of those we don't see as such, but the process is quite advanced.
The US President accused Canada of trying to influence the Supreme Court as it operates to consider a challenge to its global tariff agenda. Trump terminated the talks on Thursday over the video, which used Republican icon former President Ronald Reagan, saying tariffs cause trade wars and economic disaster. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney had removed most of Canada's retaliatory tariffs on US imports imposed by his predecessor, and the two sides have been in talks for weeks on a deal for the steel and aluminium sectors. Pope Leo lamented that the frictions roiling relations between the United States and Canada, in a likely reference to US President Donald Trump's decision to cut off US-Canada trade talks. Leo has not spoken previously about Trump's trade policies, but has been ramping up disapproval of the Trump administration's treatment of migrants, drawing a heated backlash from some prominent conservative Catholics. The Pope was responding to a question from a Canadian bishop during an event focused on possible reforms for the global church, which are being discussed over years-long process of dialogue.
I think the problem is not that opportunities don't exist, but rather that there are, yes, cultural obstacles, and we must acknowledge this, because not all bishops or priests want to allow women to exercise what could very well be their role. There are prejudices and forms of discrimination that exist and that clearly go against the gospel, and many times we find ourselves powerless in the face of these realities. So, there is certainly much to be done. I believe that the church already offers spaces to begin and continue this journey. And here too, we must be courageous in accompanying these situations and realities. It seems that little by little, perhaps, we can introduce changes, a transformation of these cultures.
He also spoke about women's roles in the church, saying there remain cultural obstacles that prevent women from fully exercising their potential, and urged Catholics to be courageous in fostering change and inclusion. New York Attorney General Letitia James, a longtime critic of President Donald Trump, pleaded not guilty in federal court to charges related to allegedly lying on mortgage documents. James, a Democrat who last year secured a $450 million civil fraud judgment against Trump, as one of the three perceived enemies that the Republican president's administration has brought criminal charges against in the past month, along with former FBI Director James Comey and former National Security Advisor John Bolton. All three have denied wrongdoing. Appearing before a federal judge in Norfolk, Virginia, James had pleaded not guilty to both counts. A trial set for January 26, 2026.
So, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank you for your prayers. I want to thank you for your emails. I want to thank you for your support. It has strengthened my spirit. But this is not about me. This is about all of us. And about a justice system which has been weaponized. A justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. This justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge and a weapon against those individuals who simply did their job and who stood up for the rule of law. And a justice system which unfortunately is nothing being used as a vehicle of retribution. And my faith is, I have this belief in the justice system and the rule of law, and I have a belief in America and all of its individuals who have stood with me, not only in New York, but all across this nation. I've heard from just about every jurisdiction in this nation who have said, stand up and be tall. And never ever cow down or back down or break or bend. So there's no fear today. No fear. No fear. No fear. Because I believe that justice will rain down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. And I'm here to say that my work and my job and all that I do, all throughout my public career, I've stood up for the rights of New Yorkers and Americans, and I will not be deterred. And I will not be deterred. I will not be distracted. I will do my job each and every day, and that's why I'm headed back to New York, because there's work to be done, standing up for the rule of law. God bless you and thank you all, and I appreciate you.
That's the news this hour. I am Barry Kumo Ado. Thank you very much for watching.